Okay. Thank you. Now it's okay. All right. Coming to the 11th verse now. The yogis, while giving up attachment, perform actions with their body, senses, mind, and intellect only for the purpose of self purification. So, so why do we need to purify ourselves at all? What is the need for purification? So Osho explains this is because of mamatva. The bhav of mamatva is so strong that we need to go through this purification. So uh, he says mamatva is like the shadow. What we say I, the shadow of that I is mamatva. He gives this example that in the afternoon when a fox is, standing there and the sun is shining, the shadow of the fox is really large, and the fox feels that I need a camel to eat. I am so large. Then towards evening, the shadow becomes so small, and it feels that it can suffice. Even an ant is enough for a meal. So we seem to decide who we are, what we need based on this shadow. This shadow is what is mamatva, me and mine. So, Osho gives this example. He says people are identified with their mind and with their body. By body is not just the physical body, but all their material acquisitions. And he pokes fun. He says, कोई बोलता है मेरा धन, मेरा घर, मेरा बैंक बैलेंस. समझ में आता है पागल है. Pagal hai because this is how everybody is. We are in a, like Sadhguru says, no, worldwide asylum, WWA. We are all like this because we are identified. We are not seeing things as they are. Then Osho says there are people who will say mera tyag. He says tyag ko bhi mera tyag bana diya. My sacrifices. Now what to say of such a person? He says वो तो महापागल है. So this is the problem with mamatva, and this mamatva is what needs to be purified. So Gyan ka mamatva is Osho says is the most delusional. So the how to free yourself, how to purify yourself, use the body to simply complete the activity, mukti from karma bandhan. So body is simply an instrument, and if you can use this body, again coming back to nishkam karma, without obsessing about the results, then you can come into purification. Then you can purify this ahamkar, and you can decelerate past karma. One point that Paramhans Yogananda mentions on this particular shloka, he says that constantly, if our senses are directed outwards, then it will make your nervous system very weak. And this sutra is saying that we are mostly directed outwards. Okay, coming to the next one. Okay. So in this same shloka, this is Swami Mukundananda's from Swami Mukundananda's commentary. His enlightened yogis perform their works for the purpose of purification. How then do the works get dedicated to God? So this is how he has interpreted. So see, in Upanishads it is said that whenever you make an offering to God, you say that, oh God, I am offering your item back to you. Because what is it that uh, you are creating an offering? Nothing that we offer is really ours. No, it is already created by God. There are flowers, there are fruits, but this is God's creation. This is not your creation. So that's why they say, I'm offering your item back to you. So there is this story he shares that when Ram is talking to Sugriv, the Lord tells him in Ramayana that I can just bend my little finger, and by bending my little finger alone, I can destroy Ravan. I can destroy all the armies. So Sugriv says, then why don't you just do that? Why are we going through all this war? Why are we going through all this preparation and getting the Vanar Sena ready? So he says, because this is an opportunity for you. This is an opportunity for you for self purification. That is why everything that is coming to us in life, we need to see this as an opportunity to offer ourselves to God, to offer, um, because this is the only thing that we can truly offer, a purified heart. Everything else He has only given to us. Why can we offer purified heart? Because right now we are in a state where we are in ignorance, where we are in some yoga. Ego is combined with it. So if we can purify our heart and offer that, then that is the only offering that is worth offering. So, and that is a permanent asset which stays across all lifetimes. So, yeah, that is something I wanted to mention. Then the 12th verse. Offering the results of all activities to God, the karma yogis attain everlasting peace, whereas those who, being impelled by their desires, work with a selfish motive become entangled because they are attached to the fruits of their action. This is repetitive. We've heard this. Sakami and Sakam karma, Nishkam karma, we've spoken a lot about it. So, how is it to be understood that performing the same action, some people are bound to material existence and others are released from material bondage? It depends upon whether you are doing an action with obsession on its results, or are you simply doing it for the fun and the joy of it. So Osho, once again, this is a little repetitive, but I'll share with you what Osho says. He says Sakami is living in the future. He's looking at the desire which will be fulfilled in the future, and that is his ignition. So he says this kind of ignition is like wet wood. When it burns, of course it will burn because you are putting your drive and energy into it. It will burn, but all that it will give will be smoke. And that, so selfish, once you have these kind of selfish motives, you will stay entangled. You cannot find freedom. The only way to find freedom is go through फल की आकांक्षा को छोड़कर. So Osho बोलते हैं, your anand and your joy should only be that you got an opportunity to do this action. So somehow we need to make this like our practice during this week, that you had an opportunity to do this action. If I am cooking for my family, it is my privilege. To be a wife is a privilege. To be a mother is a privilege. Working, I got extra work to do. I am burdened with extra to-do list in my office. I am privileged. I at least have a job. There are many who are struggling with it. So just looking and changing your perspective on your work or activity and seeing everything as a privilege, as an opportunity, will help us move towards nishkam path and keep it as an offering. So yeah, I mentioned that. So what is your bhav? It is not what you do, but it is how you do it. That will change sakam to nishkam karma. So, there is one example Osho gives. He says there are people who come and ask him, "ये भजन कीर्तन से क्या मिलेगा? What is the point of all this bhajan kirtan?" So Osho says, जब तक you have this in your mind कि क्या मिलेगा and what is my takeaway, कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. In fact, he says, don't even come to bhajan kirtan. You go sit in the marketplace because your mind is on takeaway. What am I going to get out of this? But he says the other thing is that when you simply come and you simply dance, you simply allow your mind and heart to be absorbed in this bhajan kirtan, बहुत कुछ मिलेगा. But the one who comes, and that is the irony of the whole situation, or as we studied in Yoga Sutras, the economy of existence. The one who asks will not get anything. But the one who doesn't ask and simply is absorbed in it will get showers of blessings will pour on him. So, uh, so there is one thing he gives this example. He says, see, everything depends upon your bhav. With what intention and with what emotion are you engaging in a particular activities? He says, if you go to a temple with this thing of, oh, answer my prayer, please give me this God, or please give me that God. He says that bhav will turn the temple also into simply a brick and mortar structure, nothing else. But if you can stay in your own home with a bhav, with an emotion of gratitude and love and joy and celebration of God, then your own home is not just a makan, it is not just a house, it will turn into a temple. Because in your home there is celebration of God. So that is how he distinguishes, and he uses that, he's trying to tell us it's your emotion and your intention which changes the things around. You don't have to go to a temple. The home itself can become a temple. It is your interiority which decides everything. So I mentioned that. Jivan mila to uske utsav mein nache. Work should be celebration as a gratitude and not to get something. What am I going to get out of this? Sadhguru has says is the biggest disease of modern man that he's suffering from. He just cannot do anything without the idea, what am I going to get out of this? Are nothing there for me? Why are you asking me to do so much work? This is very common. You observe this in your own surroundings? It's very, very common for people to say that. Okay, that is why volunteer works. Okay.
Swati, I
Be
like what you said last time, be a volunteer in your own house.
yeah,
That
be a
was
volunteer.
really good.
Yeah, it makes a difference. But I will just say one thing. It's a good practice. It's a very good practice because volunteer ka bhav is very helpful. Uh, but there is one more thing that Osho says, Sadhguru says, and that's a level deeper than that. Whenever you get a chance, go out and work. Go out and work, which in a place or space that has nothing to do with you also. Because Sadhguru also says one thing that yes, it's a good bhav to work with. Be a volunteer in your own house, but he also says that whether you know it or you realize it or not, there's a subtle I that will still exist there. Because at the end of it, it's still your home, somewhere that I cannot go because whatever it is, that attachment will be there. So it's good. At least it helps us progress. It helps us engage in the activity more joyfully. At least to some degree, it will, move us in a more positive direction. That okay, I'm doing it as seva. And many times maybe for people who are doing regular sadhana, maybe the eye also drops off, who knows. But it's a little slippery. It can, it cannot, we don't know. That's why he says sometimes just go and engage in things where it's got nothing to do with you, no eye. So, like in some of those, more tapasya and austere practices, they will tell, the guru will even tell the shishya, you want to break your ahamkar, they will tell him, you just go stand with a begging bowl on the street. You just stand for 2 days and just stand and see what happens. See, as a practice, it is an amazing practice to see what will happen inside you. All this ahamkar that we live with, what will happen? I'll share with you one experience. So, when I was in Malaysia, there was this volunteer, and she came and she shared her experience that we were asked to share flyers. In a engineering ke flyers the, you had to stand wherever, at the Indian store or find that traffic point or whatever and share the flyers. So she says initially I had a problem saying, of course, people are well to do, whatever. She said, what kind of volunteer work? I don't want to do this standing there and, uh, doling out flyers to people. But she did it, and she shared how, initially she saw her ahamkar hit, but still at the end of it, that activity was very fulfilling for her. And it changed things inside her. These are like really, a little, not just the usual volunteer of khana bana ke de do. Do something which is a little extreme, because that gives us a deeper reflection on who we are and where we are in our consciousness. नहीं तो हमको लगने लगता है कि हाँ हमारा तो अहंकार नहीं है, हम तो we are doing everything with seva bhav. Just put yourself in a really an absurd situation in your life, which is not usual in your life, and see that. See what happens. It can be something. I mean, I have done programs in the ashram. Uh, it gives you an insight into yourself. It really does. So okay, so on this shloka, The embodied beings who are self controlled and detached reside happily in the city of nine gates, free from thoughts that they are the doers or the cause of anything. So the enlightened being is simply residing in this body with nine gates. So, what are the nine gates? So, it's like the two nostrils, the two ears, the two eyes, um, the genitals, the anus, the mouth, the mouth. That's those are the nine gates, and this idea of nine gates is explored later in the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna speaks of death, and Osho has explained how when the soul exits from these points, and where is it exiting from? Uh, has certain implications on the next birth or whatever. So we'll not go into that right now, because right now it's just being told that your body is simply like a place for you to stay. So yesterday I was reading that book. Mm, it's the death book by the Tibetan the Tibetan book of living and dying. And in that book also, so even in Buddhism, they say they have used that example from Advaita. So there is a pot, there is space inside the pot, and there is space outside the pot. There is no difference in the space which is inside the pot and the space which is outside the pot. They are both the same. But the space which is inside the pot, if it gets identified with the pot, it will start thinking, this is my house, this is who I am the pot. So what does the sadhana do? The sadhana breaks the pot, and suddenly the space which was inside the pot realizes there is no difference. All the space is the same, everything is the same. So that's an Advaita experience. That is really the experience of Advaita. Okay. So nine gates, 2 ears, one mouth, okay, all of that. In material consciousness, the soul residing within the body identifies itself with the city of nine gates. Within this body also sits the Supreme Lord, who is the controller of all living beings in the world. When the soul establishes its connection with the Lord, it becomes free like Him. So when the pot breaks, when liberation happens, then this Jivatma merges into that Paramatma. Then there is no difference. But remember, Advaita that way is an experience. It is not something that you practice. You can't practice oneness. We'll come to that. Okay, there is a chat message. Hi. Okay, fine. All right. The embodied beings. So on this, Osho says, so purified antahkaran. Once your antahkaran is purified, once that hamkar is shuddh, it is pure, then that being becomes established in Sat Chit Anand. So this idea of they reside happily in the city of nine gates. How do they reside happily? They reside happily because they become established in Sat Chit Anand. What is Sat Chit Anand? So Sat is truth, right? Um, Sat is existence, that which has astitva. Now that which has astitva must be understood. See, water, earth, all of this also has astitva, correct? It has astitva, it has a being, right? It has existence, but it keeps changing. And that is why it is not the ultimate truth. It appears to be true, but it is not true. Remember, we spoke of that. There are two levels to this. So there is a real identity, and there is an identity that we take on. So because we are made of this body of all the elements, we take on this identity. So there is this astitva, which is what we use in the material world, but there is an ultimate astitva, which is your true identity, which is that of Atma. So that existence is what is being spoken of here. That Sat. Chitta is consciousness, Chaitanya, okay, that which sees, and Anand, bliss. Everybody knows this. We'll go a little bit deeper into this in the next slide, with where I have connected with Osho and what Swami Sarvapriyananda also says. So there is Swarup and there is Swabhav. Swarup is the real identity. Going back to Yoga Sutra, where he says, Tada drashtu swarupe vasthanam. The seer abides in his true nature. That is Swarup. That is Sat. So the Sat being spoken of is here. It is not just your Swabhav. Right now, our nature. Nature is also has astitva, but it keeps changing, right? Today I'm like this, 15 years later I will look different also. So that Swarup also has a certain astitva. That's why we say Maya is, you cannot say there is no Maya. Maya is also, it appears to be true. It is not real, but it appears to be real. So identity versus nature. Chitta, that which is conscious, I think everybody understands that. Um, and Anand, becoming conscious of this astitva. So, so the person who becomes established in Satchitananda, he does not have to do anything. He realizes that things are just happening through him, and God is simply working through him. And why is it that we are not, we may know this, that yeah, we know what Sachitananda is intellectually, verbally, but we are not established in it. Because if we were established in it, then our happiness would be replaced by happiness, would be replaced by happiness. But we swing between happiness and sadness. So why is it that we don't know? Uh, we why is it that we don't know this Sachitanand? Why are we not in this state of bliss? It's like, we spoke of that example of fish in water. It stays in water and keeps asking, what is water? So till you come out of it, you don't know. When it's thrown back, then it knows what that Ishvara or that Paramatma is. So that's why in moments of deep suffering, when people are triggered and they are thrown back, uh, into situations which help, which sort of take them deeper into themselves and help them get a glimpse of this through sadhana, through their own suffering. Um, So, somewhere somebody had asked Swami Sarvapriyananda about this true identity. Why is this not my true identity? And what would you say about Hitler and Mother Teresa's true identity? Would you say one is evil and one is good? So Swami Sarvapriyananda explained it like that. He said, see, as babies, both Hitler and Mother Teresa, would you classify them as good or bad? You wouldn't know. There would be no classification because the true identity in that state, it's pure. That is the identity that is being spoken of when we speak of Sachitananda. So, evil is something which happens in nature, which is swarup. It is not, it is, which is swabhav. Swarup is pure. Swarup is always pure. And why? And it always exists inside us, but we don't know it because of our identification with nature. Some yoga with nature blocks this identity. Because of agyan and ignorance, we are not able to realize that. Just like the fish in water does not know what water is. So once you are in a state, once you become established in Satchitanand, there is no change. Till there is change, happiness will turn into sadness. So till we are identified with our swabhav, till we are identified with I am this body and I am this mind, you will keep swinging between happiness and sadness. But once you get established in your swarup, in your sat, then your anand will never change. Then your happiness never changes into sadness. And Osho says very beautifully, he says, दुख का opposite सुख है. जब तक सुख की आकांक्षा है, dukh will come. Till you want sukh, dukh will definitely follow. They always go together. But when anand happens, there is no opposite for it. He says this is the only word that has no opposite. It's like, it's a peak state. It does not change them. The embodied beings who are self controlled and detached reside happily in this state. Same shloka. I just wanted to. So, this is from Swami Sarvapriyananda's commentary. See, he goes a lot into Advaita and Vedanta principles. So, just touching upon that, okay, he says there are two achievements. So, see, Sachitananda, isn't it a state that all of us want? We would all like to be established in this state. So, how to achieve this state? It's a logical question. Swami Sarvapriyananda says there are two kind of attainments. First is the Grama Desha Prapti, which means that one has to, like, you have to travel to a certain village to get something, to attain something. This is one way where you have to do, maybe take your bullock cart, maybe take your car, drive up to a certain place, and then in that place something is there and you will attain it there. Second kind of attainment is that which you always have, which is called as the Galavalya Prapti. So he says it's like a necklace around your own neck that you have forgotten. It is there with you all the time, but you're just missing it. It's just a mistake. You're not able to see it. You're looking everywhere, but it's right there. So it's simply a recognition and a realization. These are the two ways of attaining something. Now, the this the in this particular shloka, the emphasis is on doership. So, do I have to do anything to come into this state? Become established. Do I have to do something to come and be established in Sachitananda? Advaita and Vedanta will say, no, you don't have to do anything. Simply open your eyes, you realize your mistake. You realize that the necklace is right there around your neck. So their point is, I was mistaken. A mistake can be corrected not by work. So this is the Advaita principle. A mistake is corrected not by doing. Mistake is corrected by knowledge. They are all about Gyan. They will say it can only be corrected through knowledge. You don't have to do anything. Then, in the next breath, Swami Sarvapriyananda will say, but the doing is necessary, because all the doing that you do, is necessary to create the right conditions for this knowledge to arise, for this realization to happen. So while they will keep saying that no doership is necessary, like in yoga and in Sankhya and in all dualistic system, they will say doership is necessary. You have to do something. Like the first sutra of Yoga Sutras, which is sadhana, uses tapaswadhyaya ishwar pranidhanani kriya yoga. Kriya means kra, do. The root word is kra, which is to do. You have to do something. And so it gives the various methods and techniques of sadhana. So there is a very strong emphasis on doership. Advaita Vedanta disagrees and is they will say no doership is necessary because they are non-dualistic model. But then they will also say upasna karo, go do puja, go do shravana manana nididhyasan. So this is also doing. But he says all this doing is only to create the right condition. This is just for those of you who listen to Advaita, who want to just understand, because all these contradictions will keep coming up. So um, so doing something to get something which you don't have, Advaita says that cannot be the nature of true spirituality. But he says the doing is important for the right condition. And error has to be corrected by knowledge. I am Brahman. You are Brahman. It is simply a knowledge that will rise in you. But you do the actions to create the conditions for this realization. Okay. So what Advaita Vedanta perspective and point always is, what is the point of doership? They will say that, but they will also engage in all the doing. So because their first emphasis is on Gyan, that Gyan will solve everything. But doership will create the conditions for Gyan. In Yoga Sutras, we will say you need to do. You need to do. Why? Because you are already in some yoga. When you do, you will realize that Purusha and Prakriti are two separate. And then you will realize the seer will abide in its true nature. So I just wanted to point that. Now, neither the sense of doership nor the nature of actions comes from God, nor does He create the fruits of actions. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So, this Paramatma, this Atma, this space within us that I spoke of, like in the pot, this this God resides within you, but He's not the doer. Okay, He is not the doer, nor does He create the fruits of actions. Okay, there is no So, who is this God that resides within us? So, Osho explains that He is the Srishta, He is the creator, He is not the Karta. Uh, Paramatma or God does not even remember I am. See, I exist only if you exist, correct? If there is an I, it is there only because there is a you. But Paramatma simply is. It's like an isness. For Paramatma, there is no you in existence because everything is Paramatma. He is not divided by the clay pots, the space inside, outside, everything. All this is Paramatma. See, these are just, you know, uh, some technical points. Okay, do we agree with this? Okay, Paramatma is sarvavyapi. It is all pervasive. There is no I and you when you speak of Paramatma. Only when you speak in terms of swabhav and nature or this material existence, there is I and you. So he is a Srishta. Srishta or a creator means that all creation is flowing from him and it will collapse back into him. So this is where, Osho uses, so like, Mhm. He takes this example of a dance and a dancer. So the dancer creates the dance, correct? The dancer is creating the dance. They both exist together. The creator and his creation are existing together. This is the Srishta. And when he speaks of that, Osho says how in our culture, this Srishta or this God is expressed as Shiva. He's a dancing God. And that is so unique to our culture, where the creator and his creation are not separated, it is seen as one. It just exists together. Stops the dancer, the creation also stops. So Prakriti, the point here is that the Prakriti is dependent on Paramatma. See, can dance happen without the dancer? No, isn't it? For the dance to happen, which is the creation, the dancer is necessary, right? So Prakriti or nature is dependent on Paramatma. Paramatma or God is simply a catalyst. A sculptor is creating a sculpture. Can the sculpture happen without the sculptor? No, because sculptor is the creator. He is not the karta. He is the creator. There's a difference. He's See, in this shloka we're trying to see the difference between karta and srishta. Karta means doership. Karta, and when there is the idea of doership, there is I. But in srishta or God dimension, there is no karta because there is no I and you. It simply creates. And the creation is dependent on this creator. Am I making sense? I mean, it makes sense, I know, but am I making sense to you? Yeah, does that make sense? Okay. So it's like this. Uh, you know, we know that hydrogen and oxygen together create water. Okay, H2O is water. Now, can you go in nature and simply take two molecules of hydrogen, and one molecule of oxygen and just mix them together and create water? It will not happen. No, it needs a catalytic agent. The catalytic agent is electricity, and only then water will happen. So, uh, so, so this God is not the doer; He is the catalyst. And the difference here is the difference that is being pointed here is between a karta and a srishta. Srishta is like a catalytic presence. It's not the doer. It is not making water. Its presence simply makes water happen. They say in Shaivism, in Kashmir Shaivism, that Shiva simply appears and Prakriti starts dancing. Shiva appears and Prakriti starts dancing. It's like that. So Prakriti is dependent on Paramatma. And just to explain this idea of how catalytic agent is simply a presence, Osho gives this example of this scientist called Jean Piaget, who has studied the relationship between a child and the mother. So when a child is separated from the mother, you give the child everything, food, nourishment, all the, whatever needs to be taken care of for the child clinically and medically, it is done. And the growth should happen. And based on 40 years of study, they say that it is not the same. The child that is with the mother, that child's growth is different from children who were just taken care of clinically or medically. There is something which is flowing from the mother, and that flow is the catalytic agent. So, so whatever is happening in nature, all this creation that you keep seeing and destruction that is happening, that is nature dancing because of the presence of the creator. Okay, that is the first thing. So from dancer's perspective, dance and dancer is the same. Ocean and wave from the ocean's perspective are the same, but from the wave's perspective, they are two. See, the idea is again Satchitanand. Uh, the the sutras are pointing us towards this whole idea of oneness, but also explaining the duality that that is existent because nature is dualistic. So it depends upon where you are seeing things from. From the dancer's perspective, dance and dancer are the same. The ocean and wave are the same from the ocean's perspective. But from the wave's perspective, ocean and wave are two. We are what? We are the wave. We are not yet ocean. Only the one who is established in Satchitanand is in the ocean state. Am I making sense? Okay, fine. So, Karta is an agent. So, this is just for clarification. Swami Sarvapriyananda says, Karta is an agent of action. Bhokta is the experience of karma phala. You, the consciousness, are neither. So, the God that once you come into God realization, things are just flowing out of you. You are not the doer anymore. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Maybe it will give a little bit more clarity. So, are we saying that Paramatma and Prakriti are two different things? Are we creating a contradiction? Are they one or two? This is the whole point. And a lot of so Osho has explained this very nicely. He says all divisions are established because of man's mind. See, for understanding, you need to divide things. Sometimes I'll tell you in my own conversations with some people who used to who follow Advaita, and when I tried to compare one thing with the other and tried to make a point, they said, "See, now you're comparing. Now you're comparing, so this is ego dimension." Well, you need to even compare properties of solid, liquid, and gases to understand what solid, liquid, and gases are. Isn't it? We do this. This is for understanding purposes. So, division is done for understanding purposes, and division is really appealing or matching the intellect. It is only for the intellect, okay? All divisions are established because of the mind. But truth or satya is beyond division. That is true. So, is okay. Let me just quickly say why we are doing all this. We spoke of Sat Chitanand, correct? We said Sat is two kinds of Sat. What appears true to us. This body is real for me because Sat is explained as Astitva. If Sat is Astitva, then this body has Astitva. Why are you saying? You cannot just disregard the body and say there is no body. And I will say only, God exists. I don't have that experience. So I am a wave. From my perspective, there is ocean and wave. Yes, there is a Paramatma, but there is a wave also. My body is also real for me. This Maya is also real for me. So I say that there are two. But in the shlokas, Satchitananda says the ultimate place is that everything is one. Paramatma is one. The space inside and the space outside, everything is one. So how to understand this? So that is why this question, are we saying that they are two? So, uh, so this division has to be established only because we are still identified with the mind and the body and for our understanding purposes from the wave's perspective. But from Krishna's perspective, established in Satchitananda. So you cannot sit here and keep talking about Satchitananda and say, oh, how can you compare? You cannot compare because your comparison means you're still in ego dimension. No, for understanding purposes, comparisons are necessary. And that is what it is. Divisions are necessary because they help us understand. For the mind, it cannot see. If you say Satchitanand, ultimate state, you are saying there is no mind. Because Satchitanand is a state of no mind. It is Chitta vritti nirodha, correct? In Yoga Sutras, we said only when you come into a no mind state, you see things exactly as they are. Your perception is completely clear because now you're established in the seer identity. But till the mind exists, the dualistic perspective or seeing the two helps us understand. So all divisions are established only because of that. Krishna is explaining to him, dividing things from Arjun's perspective. He is telling him, this is Prakriti Arjun, तेरा जो स्वभाव है ये प्रकृति है, पर सत जो है वो स्वरूप है. That is ultimate, that is the truth. But this is your swabhav, this is your nature, what you call as the body. This will keep changing, and this will not take you to ultimate happiness. Ultimate happiness is your swarup, which will take you. Your swabhav does not take you to ultimate happiness because it will keep changing. Now, this is the beautiful thing that Osho says. I have loved it, especially because I ran into many arguments with people who follow Advaita, and I loved how Osho explained it. He says, ज्ञान में सब द्वैत गलत है. The one who has become established in Gyan, for him, no Dvait exists. There is no dualism. Correct? Absolutely true. अज्ञान में सब अद्वैत समझ के बाहर है. Very important statement. Very, very important. अज्ञान में सब अद्वैत समझ के बाहर है. आप बोलते रहें everything is one, everything is एक. It does not work like that. Till I am identified with my body and mind, till I see myself as a wave, you and I are separate. It is, your feel. We can empathize and all. I'm not speaking from that perspective, but we have not come into that state of seeing that oneness everywhere. Even when you speak to your friends, isn't it? Don't you say, oh, you look at it differently. I look at it differently. Yes, it's not the same. So we can't sit here and say, oh, you and I are the same. No, we are not the same. We are still in we are still seeing things through division. Does that make sense? I will repeat. ज्ञान में सब द्वैत गलत हैं. Once you are established in Gyan, there is no division. It's like this Indian. You see that? I picked that up just to show. Once you are in Gyan, everything is the same. There is oneness everywhere. You see the same Paramatma, the same God everywhere. But अज्ञान में सब अद्वैत समझ के बाहर है. There is no Advaita. Advaita is not a practice. Advaita is not a practice. Advaita is an experience that one rises into. So, you will if you listen to Swami Sarvapriyananda, and Swami Tattvamayananda also says that yes, we follow Advaita Vedanta, but all practices are still dualistic. So when people talk like this, be aware of it. This is just for background and it is connected with these shlokas. All practices, even of Advaita Vedanta, are dualistic because practice cannot be otherwise. All sadhana, upasana, bolo, shravana, manana, whatever you want to say, they are all dualistic. So, so Satya is Advaita, but understanding is always dual. So this is what I wanted to say. ज्ञान में सब द्वैत गलत है, अज्ञान में सब अद्वैत समझ के बाहर है. All right. Then this is just something which is put together from my understanding from Paramhans Yogananda. Uh, uh, so who is the karta if you are merely an intersection of energies? So he gives this very nice example. He says sometimes you do something which you don't feel good about, and you feel like, why did I do it at that moment? I should have never done something like this. I should have never said something. And you start feeling guilty about it. So, and you start feeling that I have sinned. So, Paramhans Yogananda's guru used to say that the greatest sin is to call yourself sinner. He says, don't do that. Instead, if you just say that Maya committed this deed through me. I dissociate from everything connected with it, and I am in my true untainted self, and I will never allow myself to be available to commit to this error of failure again. So, see, it's like this. ev- ev- so you remember that thing of cosmos network. It's all network, and we are simply nodes on network. That is why this whole idea of you are the doer really is not true. You can only place yourself, or you get placed on this network, and energies are flowing through you. So that's why sometimes you find yourself in a situation where suddenly you are able to share or help somebody with certain information. You are not the doer, you are simply placed there in that situation so that this energy could flow through you because you were a yes or available to that energy. You were not in negation. So the forces, simply think of everything as forces. If you are a yes to life, forces which are yes, which are in alignment to those, will place you at certain nodes which could help others, or where you could be a messenger or deliverer for others because of the yes inside you. Does that make sense? Has that happened to all of you? And at the same time, when we are a no, you notice that those forces will come together and it starts creating conflict. These are just forces flowing through you, and you are simply available on those nodes. That is why they say, what can you do? You can only do a purification of your heart. I remember Swami Mukundananda says the only offering that you can give to God is the purification of your antahkaran. तुम भगवान को फल फूल चढ़ाकर, उनको टॉयज लगाकर उनको प्लीज करना चाहते हो, बच्चा समझ रखा है भगवान को। वो जो बोलते हैं ना, डोंट ऑफर व्हाट इज, ही इज द वन हु हैज गिवन ऑल दिस टू यू, you offer yourself. That means when you ran into a situation where you felt that you sinned, don't beat yourself on it. Commit to it that I will never be available to these forces, which is an antahkaran shuddhi. Now I will, because there must have been some no or negation in me. The first thing is to become a yes to life, the vitark that happens. So some sort of negation, some sort of negativity which must have been, and so the forces which were aligned to it brought me in this situation and made me do this. So and why is this happening? This is again happening because of agyan, because of identification. So if we can do something to dissociate from that, and the sadhana, whatever sadhana, whether it's meditation or whatever practices you do, is your commitment to dissociate from that, and next time be placed on very auspicious energy nodes. See, and this must be in your experience. If uh, uh, you are doing your sadhana regularly, are you experiencing more grace in your life versus when you stop your sadhana? When like it happens to me all the time. If I stop, I can see disturbances and fluctuations in my life. But if I am committed to my sadhana, it's lesser. Things seem to find situations seem to arrange themselves better. It's like Sadhguru says, in the morning you get up, you organize your home, you clean up, whatever. Just like that, you have to organize your energies. You go into the world after organizing your energies. It is like organizing your inner forces. Rajas, Tamas, Sattva are also inner forces. They need to be organized. You need to get your triangle right. So organize those forces and then step into the world. Then the forces which are nothing, life is nothing but forces. We human beings are simply nodes on these network of forces. So the moment you've cleaned yourself and organized yourself, and your node is placed in alignment with forces which are auspicious, and so you will find yourself more and more in auspicious situations. Hasn't it happened to you? Everybody has gone through that.
Yeah.
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 Ev- all of us are experiencing that, isn't it? So so that that is the commitment that you have to make. Don't blame yourself, don't beat yourself. Just tell yourself, I will never allow myself to be available to that force again. So that's a nice way to look at it. I like that from Paramahansa Yogananda. So of course, he will say, God is never worried about your mistakes. And we the karma theory enough to know that neither the sense of doership nor the nature of actions comes from God, nor does he create the fruits of actions. This is all gunas at play. So this is why the forces are at play. Yet, though he conducts the activities of the universe, he remains the non doer. He is neither the director of our actions nor does he decree whether we will perform a particular virtuous or evil action. So, see, हम बोलते हैं ना परमात्मा is inside us. So, so this is something which even I need to think through, and we can do this all together. So, Paramatma, or God, is inside me. We are being told that simply engage in action as an offering to God. Uh, don't identify it and don't be a karta. This is what we have been told. Um, okay. Now, is he the director of our actions? Now, this is a little confusing even for me, and tell me what you think, and I will open up for discussion. So, this is from Swami Mukundananda. He says, had God been the director of our action, there would be no need for elaborate instructions on good and bad action. All the scriptures would have ended like in three short sentences. He says, okay, I'm the director of your work. You don't need to understand what is good and bad. Um, I will make you do as I wish. Isn't it? This is one way of looking at things. This is one way of looking at God. But God is not like this. We are all told that you need to understand your action, understand, you need to have viveka. It's one of the first, swadhyaya practices, viveka practices. Should you engage in this action or not? Uh, Pap, punya, right, wrong, morals, ethics. Uh, God is not, you are doing it. There is some portion of free will here. And this portion of free will is where our where we have this opportunity to make an offering to God. God is not responsible for our getting stuck with the sense of doership. If He had deliberately created the pride of doing in us, then again we could have blamed Him for our misdoings. Okay, I'll repeat that again. God is not responsible for our getting stuck with the sense of doership. We get stuck with the sense of doership. Okay, I am doing, but don't blame God for it. If He had deliberately created pride of doing in us, then we could have blamed him for our misdoings. But the fact is that the soul brings this pride into itself out of ignorance. So the swabhav exists, the misdoings may exist because of identification with ahamkar, which is a state of agyan. So in agyan, when you act, don't think that God made me do, God made me proud. It's not like that. God is never the doer. So from a bhakti perspective, they say I do everything as an offering to God. Don't blame him. Okay, that's the point that is being made here. And it is not God who is making you do good and bad things either. Is that making sense? Okay.
Swati, it's not God, but it's Prakriti, right? Because it's like maybe our past compulsions that, our past karma that led to certain compulsions, which put us in that energy node because of previous, right?
Correct. So it is Prakriti that is making us do things. But in the previous shloka, we have also said that there is Satchitanand. This Satchitanand exists in all of us. So the question comes that if God exists inside me, is He making me do all this? Why is He making me do all this? So Swami Mukundananda is clarifying that don't think that God is the one who is the director and He is deciding. Because if God is the director, the story would end right away. You don't have
Yeah.
to do any thinking of whether I should do a good act or bad act. There is a free will that has been given to every human being. The nature exists, like you said, the forces are making do, but along with the force, the human being is a very special kind of human being. He's a very special kind of animal, and in the next shloka that will come up, you're a special kind of jantu, which is capable of thinking, which is capable of evolution. So, people can argue like that. Na, ki all this is nature, all this is Prakriti. It is all right for me to go and steal because God is making me do this. So if so, I think somebody had asked this to Osho that, it's all right for me to go and steal. So uh, i- i- Osho had explained with that Kabir's example. Remember we spoke Kabir का बेटा था and वो बोलते हैं अगर तुम सबको अपना मान सकते हो तो जाओ स्टील भी कर लो कोई गलत नहीं. But then, do you really consider everyone as yours? So he said, okay, fine, we don't have food, let's go steal. He goes with his son, they go do all the setup, they try to steal, and when they are leaving from the home, Kabir said, let me tell them that I'm stealing and I'm going. So it's not division, it's not hiding and doing. That is a state of oneness. Then you can say that God makes me do everything. If you are in that state. But most of us are not in that state. We are cheating. The question comes because we can cheat ourselves. We can say, "Arey, you said God exists inside me. Paramatma to andar hai. I have the license. I will go. I can go steal everything. God is making me do this." The point is, if you are a sadhak, you will never be. You will not function like this. So till you till you are established in Satchitanand, don't talk like Satchitanand. The point is, if you're established in Satchitanand, well and good. You go ahead, do whatever you want, but then you will act like Kabir acted. We will use Satchitanand as an argument to prove our point of doing a wrong action and saying, God is making me do this. So that is where Swami Mukundananda says, don't think God is the director and he's making you do. Because if that was the case, it's like, do this, do that. You don't have to do any thinking. No, he has you have to realize God. You have because he is from the bhakti perspective, he will always say, you do your thinking, you do your action as an offering to God. Don't use him as a justification for all your wrong acts. Use the opportunities that are given to you as to make it an offering into him, to make this an offering of purification of your antahkaran. Antakaran Shuddhi is all that we can offer to God. So I remember, when I was doing Yoga Sutras, I had one of the affirmations there that whatever I was born with, whatever was given to me, is a gift from God. But what I make of myself is my gift to Him. And that is an affirmation we should all live with. What can you, if you really love God, if God is something that is like a throbbing presence in your life, and you wake up when you do things, is he like, is your mind marinated in God? What is your mind marinated into? Just observe yourself. Often our mind can be marinated in you know the work that we have to do, or our task list, या office में जो काम है. But is your mind marinated in God? Once your mind starts getting marinated in God, I'm telling you, even in your workplace, God will come first. His thought will come first, and then you will think, oh, how should I work through this situation that I can make it into an offering? It happens. It really happens. And I often feel those Krishna Connect practices have really helped me in coming into that. It marinates your mind. You are pushed where you are systematically led into thinking about God, because on your own you don't think about God. You will We all think about God for those few moments, but we don't actively think. But when you are told that you have to make an offering and show up, the whole day the mind is on it. What am I going to offer? But it comes. See, the idea is to marinate your mind, not whatever you offer will be accepted. There is no such thing. So I think that is where Swami Mukundananda is. So God is not responsible for our getting stuck with the sense of doership. Also, don't blame God there. Uh, sorry, let me go back to share. Okay. This was a little difficult for me also to sort of put together and understand, but I think it's coming together now. The omnipresent God does not involve himself in the sinful or virtuous deeds of anyone. This is The living entities are deluded because their inner knowledge is covered by ignorance. So that thief who says, all this Gita, everything you say, I went and stole, God made me do this. See, you say God is the one who is inside us, He is the one who is flowing through us, so He is the one who made me do this. No, the person who is saying this is because he is deluded. It is because of agyan. It's like the snake rope, you are not seeing things as they are. That is why you're talking like that. And it is here that, Krishna has used this word jantavaha, which means jantu. It's a special kind of animal. Pashu. Osho, of course, in his own way, goes into speaking of Pashu. And I'll share with you what he says. He says, कि ordinarily human beings can also be like pashu. See, we say no, monkey, man, and divine. This is the chain on which we are. Now, from monkey to man, nature pushed you, but from man to divinity is your choice. If you don't exert effort, you will not reach there. Up, and once you are pushed into this man state, you are born with ignorance. Ignorance is not something that is something that you gather. You're simply born with it. It is a state and it's not bad. We said agyan is not a bad state because agyan se hi gyan ka janam hoga. Mithya gyan is a problem. Not knowing and thinking that you know false knowledge is a problem. But agyan is very nice. We are all born with it. So man is agyan. Now, if in this man state, agyan state, you are tending more and more towards your animal nature, which means compelled by your vasanas, the more a human being is compelled by his vasanas, he is moving into pashu. And that's when Osho says, pashu means you now need to be tamed. You have to be tied with a rope, you have to be tamed. And that is why Shiva is called Pashupati. He is Pashupati. He is the one who tames us. So we become like this Pashu. You tie yourself and in that engagement with Shiva, you will come into breaking out of the ignorance. That's how Osho speaks of it, Pashu and Pashupati. So, mm, sorry, one second. So, when does Pap and Punya? So, Osho explains it like this. He says, Pap and Punya understanding is for those who believe that they are the doers. When karma is joined to karta, then only this idea of morality comes up, good or bad. Correct? So Osho says if you have a pot of uh, a ghada of karta, then वो अच्छा बुरा उसमें you can put. So if you have a pot of of I am, of the karta, the doer, then you can fill it with good or bad. But if the pot itself breaks, then where is the question of good or bad? Then the space inside and the space outside, it is all the same. It is Paramatma. So for God, there is no question of Pap or Punya. Everything simply is. So, and why do we get locked in this whole Pap and Punya? Because we get identified. We lose perspective. We get so absorbed in the nature and in the drishya कि हमें दृष्टा भूल जाता है. We forget that we are the seer. So this Maya is very hypnotizing. So Osho बोलते हैं Maya is not illusion. It's a hypnosis. And he gives a very beautiful example from Vidyasagar's life. So Vidyasagar was big into education. He was a very learned man, brought in a lot of educational and social reform. So Osho gives this example from his life, a true story. He says once he went to watch a play, and in that play, he saw this man. Uh, uh, Molesting a woman or really being very wicked and running after and chasing this woman. And Vidyasagar was so disturbed by it. This is a play that is happening in front of him. He got up, he took out his shoe, and he was ready to, hit his shoe on that villain. So suddenly, all the people, there was commotion and the play stopped. And that villain came and he bowed down to him. He said, I acted so well that I will keep the shoe of yours. This is my greatest reward. I was only acting. Nothing was real. But you began to think, and you, the man who is so learned, a man like you, became so attached to the drishya, you forgot the drishta. This is what is happening. And this can happen to learn to people, who are considered the peak of intellect, and it can still happen to them. We can get, this is hypnosis, this is maya, and so you think it is pap and punya. And Vidyasagar then immediately realized, because he thought ye to pap ho raha hai, this is sin, I have to stop, how can this villain do this? And he had to hit, he had to take action. Now doership has happened because he got identified. So Pap punya exists as long as there is karta ka bhav, as long as you have that pot and you have identity with that pot. Till then, this will go on. But the day that pot breaks, then, oh, there is no morality. That is why, in the previous class we said कि where Osho explains that Krishna बोलते हैं कुछ भी करो, ऐसा इंसान कुछ भी करे, everything is okay. You can do anything and it's okay. And that really baffled the Western scholars. How can you say? How can you be amoral? Because he's talking of a man like Kabir, a mystic like Kabir. He can even steal, but he is in Sachitananda. He's established in that. Even the stealing is not stealing. It is not moral. It is never against anybody because there is no other. See, in that state, there is no other. In our state, it is I and you. So there are always two. But the one who established in Sachitanand, उसके लिए तो कोई और है ही नहीं. सब मैं, सब है हम माँ, हम है सब माँ. हम ही बहुरी अकेला. That that song of Kabir, which we had in Kaivalya Pada when we spoke of Kaivalya. So and that is Kaivalya. Kaivalya is not loneliness. When everybody is inside me and I am in everybody, then where is Akelapan? Where is loneliness? Where is alone? It is all oneness. That is Kaivalya. So that in that state you do anything and everything is okay. There is no right, wrong, there is nothing immoral because whatever comes out of this person is the right thing. So um, so teaching of Gyan Yoga, there's a little bit I had from Swami Sarvapriyananda. Uh, So Gyan, of course, here is self. I think all this is covered. We've covered these ideas. Ocean depth does not get affected by violent storms on the surface. So this is the one. This Paramahansa Yogananda says. Once you are established in that Satchitanand, then you are at the ocean depth. Nothing. Your equanimity does not get disturbed. So this is just something from Sarvapriyananda. I wanted to speak. Wanted to share this when he speaks of Jantu and the special kind of animal, unique kind of pashu which can get enlightened. So that is why don't blame it on God and say I'm not going to do anything, I will be lazy. It doesn't work. We are sadhaks, we need to do, we need to you know recognize our animal instincts. I don't know how, I love that video of Sadhguru's, I love that video of Isha where he says one moment you're a snake, one moment you're a dog, you're barking, one moment you're a cat, you're like this all day, you are just changing between this, isn't it? And if you want to get past this, he says you do hatha yoga. You do it every day for 6 months. All your dogs, cats, and snakes will become quiet inside you. So the pashu has to become quiet inside us. That animal nature has to quieten down. How will this happen? This is Advaita Vedanta framework. Okay, Yoga Sutra framework. All of you know. I am personally a Yoga Sutra follower, but I have gone into these debates and discussions with Advaita, so I think I like to at least point it out. And many of you have attended Vedanta classes, so just for clarity, how they say that you prepare through Vivek, Vairagya, and Shat Sampati. Last time I told you, they even say there are certain qualifications to begin your Vedanta studies. So prepare through Viveka. Everybody know discernment, Vairagya. Some amount of dispassion is necessary. If everything is going to compel you, then how will you give time to Vedanta studies? And Shat Sampati. What is Shat Sampati? So this, even in Art of Living, Sri Ravi Shankar is very big on Shat Sampati. He says these are your six wealths. So what are the wealth? First is Sama. This is like an internal restraint of mind, a certain state of balance, a certain state of calm that you can be established in, and not getting running after every desire. So it's not about giving up all desires, but being able to put a pause on it. Like Sadhguru says, no, even before you eat your food, pause for 5 seconds. That you are very hungry. When we were initiated into Shunya, he told us the Shunya has to be done on empty stomach. He said it's okay. Even if you're very hungry, it's a 15-minute practice. Sit down, do your Shunya. You can pause for 15 minutes. And he even told there were people who asked questions. He said, if it's too much, you just have some lime water. So yogis have their own way to manage their hunger. Lime water with honey, just manage it for some time. So um, okay, even amla and all, they use this to manage their hunger, because hunger is a very precious condition for a yogi. When hunger happens, fire rises inside, the agni is rising, and agni is what is needed for our kriya yoga. So empty stomach conditions are very, very precious for all of us yoga practitioners. Second is Dhamma. Dhamma is the external control of five sense organs. Again, some, it's like throughout the day, you're walking in the kitchen, you see snacks lying there, not everything you pick up and keep putting in your mouth. Okay, there is a time to eat. I like that, but I'm going to wait or I'm going to leave it. Otherwise, you're just snacking. Titiksha, which is just forbearance, fortitude, the ability to endure what is not comfortable, and that fortitude is necessary. Uparati, to pull back a little bit from worldly engagement. If all your time is going to go in socializing, and if it's too much outward action, too much engagement with people, then where is the journey inward? That quiet is necessary. Uparati. Samadhan. So samadhan, see, in yoga we say, in Yoga Sutras it is always solution, but in Advaita and Vedanta studies they explain samadhan as concentration, focus on Vedantic studies. Very important, when they say meditation, they mean contemplation. For us Yoga Sutra practitioners, concentration is dharana, meditation is dhyan. It's different. There is no space for contemplation in Yoga Sutras. Yoga Sutras will never ask you to think, because it is beginning with vritti nirodha. Thought itself is a vritti. We don't want to work with thought. Maharishi Patanjali says, your thought itself is a problem. Let me take it and throw it out first. You will not work with thought. So, um, Shraddha, which they say faith in the truth of Vedanta. So you have to have some Shraddha towards Upanishads, towards those teachings. And Mumukshatvam, which is an intense desire and a longing for God. This is Mumukshatvam. Or to know the truth, whether God or to know the truth. I am Brahman will come through clarity, and it is available only if you prepare. So all of this is the doing that they ask for, and this doing is supportive to create conditions for you to realize I am Brahman. Okay, this is happening next time. What is the time? Oh, I am so much bang on time. Last time Sangeeta gave me a directive, Swati, you're going to stop in time. I was like, okay, okay, okay. All right. So if you have any questions or any thoughts.
Swati, I didn't catch you said something and I was very, like, it really got to me, but I didn't get the end of it. You said, what has been given to me is a gift from God. And what was the rest of that sentence?
And what I make of myself is my gift to him.
Okay. Okay. I like that.
Yeah. That was one of our affirmations for in Yoga Sutras. Your
Okay.
daily sadhana, your practice is your gift that you give. That is why don't think of sadhana that, that is, there are two perspectives. We all begin with our hatha yoga practices. Okay, body has to be healthy. Yes, all that is important, because if the yantra is not functioning well, then how to hold God there, So I mean, because I'm a yoga practitioner, I think it's important to keep the body well, and uh, don't get to your sadhana or to your mat because I want the benefit of this or I want the benefit of that. Today, I'm doing my sadhana because this is the gift I can give him. And this is a gift that only I can give God. Nobody else can give it to him, isn't it? Your sadhana, nobody else can give this gift. How beautiful. Even Varsha cannot do my sadhana and give that gift to him. All other gifts I can pluck, I can buy, I can cook. Anybody else, whatever, they are his gifts which we offer back to him. But my sadhana is my gift to him, and that's why I'm doing it. And it will really help. It will also help us marinate our mind in God and really move towards that path. Chapter 7 to 12 goes deep into bhakti. This is preparation. Karma yoga cannot happen without bhakti. Karma yoga bolta hi hai, everything is an offering to God. So they are sowing the seeds for bhakti here, but it's very intellect oriented also. Chapter 1 to 6. The sixth chapter is on meditation, and 7 to 12 is all on bhakti, and we'll go deep into it. Very, very beautiful. Okay, anything else? We're good.
In the previous recording, one time somebody asked a question about Krishna stealing butter when he was a kid or something. So when I read something about that was for the poorer kids, a distribution of wealth kind of a thing, that people, but the kids were poor. He was a richer family, so he used to have the butter. So other kids should have that too, instead of his family only having it. There was
Oh,
somewhere,
that's sweet.
somewhere I read like it was that his intention was that. I mean,
That's very sweet. I have not read that. Huh? That is why Krishna was stealing butter. Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good one. I also heard Sadhguru in, I think in the Leela series or somewhere, he says that when Krishna steals butter, and Yashoda asks him, Krishna, why do you go stealing butter? Don't I give you enough? He says, Amma, then where is the fun? So he says, for fun I do this. So that is why Krishna, the attractive one, and still everybody loves him. So yeah, that's a good one. That's nice. I hadn't heard that. To share the wealth, because that's the Paramatma that is flowing through him. No, that is his, that consciousness, that Chaitanya. Anything else? No, we're good. All right, then we'll close. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Thank you very much, everyone. गायत्री बहुत दिन के बाद दर्शन दी.
Thank you. Thank you, Swati.
Thank you. Thank you, Swati.
Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you.
See you next week. See you.
Thank you, Swati.
Thanks. Bye bye. Where have you been, Gayatri?
I was in India. I just came back last Monday.
I know beach mein you were in India because Supratam was traveling to New Jersey. बीच में 2 बार. तेरा कैसा चल रहा है अमोघा?
बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है, बहुत अच्छा.
Very good. मेरे लिए कोई जैकेट रखना. लास्ट टाइम मैं बोली थी send me your merchandise.
I will send you now. अभी
Send me all your merchandise. Yeah, I really like that. I love those Kashmiri jackets. मुझे एक तो मेरे को खरीदना है. अमोघा से मेरे को भी कुछ चाहिए.
पक्का और क्या चाहिए ही लेना.
और क्या.
I am missing you यार. कितना यहाँ आना नहीं होता क्या?
मैं न्यू जर्सी